Sometimes you don't need to go for the biggest bottle because the fragrance can be so strong that you really only need a small amount to get you through the day. And while the standard is usually 100 ml normally, although that has been changing, every now and then for certain scents out there, maybe a 50 ml bottle would be more than enough to last you for several years, or even potentially for nearly a lifetime, depending on how many fragrances you have already. I mean, I have so many bottles from 7, 8 years ago that are still very full. And, you know, when you kind of think of it that way, depending on your situation, sometimes it might make sense to get that smaller bottle, compounded by the fact that it performs so well that you don't need a lot of it to begin with. And so that's what we have today. A lot of these here come in a variety of sizes, typically, you know, a 100, 150, or a 50 ml, some maybe a 60 and 100 or whatever it might be. But I think that, you know, in a lot of instances, that smaller bottle size might not be a bad idea. This first one is Sauvage Elixir. So this one is a situation where it is a 60 ml bottle, or you can upgrade to a 100 ml. When this first came out, it was 60 ml only. And then after a little while, they started producing a 100 ml bottle. Because I think a lot of people were maybe a little bit frustrated that you didn't have the option to buy a bigger bottle when it first came out. But one thing that you might start to realize after wearing it for some time is that, man, 60 ml will go a long way with this stuff because it is incredibly strong. It's probably one of the strongest Sauvage fragrances in the line, and it might even be one of the strongest Dior designer scents, at least in production right now. I mean, it is just really, really potent. A couple sprays get you through the entire day and it projects far. I mean, Sauvage Elixir, you guys know it, the sandalwood, licorice, cardamom, warm, spicy, woody scent that basically smells nothing like Sauvage, even though it kind of looks like it. This is the Sauvage for people who don't like Sauvage, is the easiest way to describe it. And it sounds so stupid, and you might think, why not just get something else entirely? Well, that's because aside from a couple clones, there really isn't anything else like this. You know, when it comes to Sauvage, there are plenty of other blue fragrances that you could try if you didn't like it. But Sauvage Elixir is on its own, to the point where it almost doesn't even make sense fully that this is a Sauvage flanker. They could have started off an entire new lineup with this, or put it into the Dior Homme line somehow, which I guess it wouldn't really fit there either because it smells nothing like Dior Homme. But yeah, just kind of a strange release when you think about it. Let's go for another Elixir. This one is Herrera Bad Boy Elixir. So it's available in a 50, 100, and 150. Okay, and this is the 100, just standard size. That's kind of what I got at retail, just made sense. But honestly, it is so strong, so potent, that a smaller bottle would be plenty for a lot of you out there, especially with sizable collections. This one's got leather, cedarwood, and sage. That's all they give you. That's pretty standard, and as far as 3 notes these days. But also, I mean, that really gets you started off on the right track, because that's really what you get a lot of. Nice leather in here that isn't too overpowering. The cedarwood is some nice company, just giving it a bit of a masculine woodiness. Now, there is still a pretty fair amount of sweetness in here, so you're not away from that. And that sweetness is kind of the modern style, and also is typically found in the Bad Boy lineup, so like a tonka bean and that sort of thing. But it is a little bit more subdued, and what I like so much about this is it has this real nice kind of dry, leathery woodiness that kind of steers it more in the direction of an older style, more masculine smelling scent, rather than just being all sweet like the original Bad Boy and maybe 1 or 2 of the others in the lineup. You know, because I've said it before, and it's just kind of something that you could see with your own eyes, and you smell it for sure. But the trend right now is sweet men's designer scents. You know, you're getting away from the woods, the earthy notes, and everything like that a bit. And this one kind of brings it back, which I enjoy. And again, kind of the reason why it's in here is because it's a really strong scent. It's a great performer, and a small bottle might be plenty. This next one is Terre Hermes Eau Intense Vetiver. So the original is pretty strong. The Parfum is stronger though. But Eau Intense Vetiver, you don't really hear as much about this one. And I think that's kind of a shame. Now, it's interesting because Terre Hermes has vetiver in it already, a pretty good amount. It's vetiver mixed with orange and some other woody notes, but quite a bit of the vetiver. it's just, yeah, this is essentially that, although not quite as much of the orange, I guess is how you could look at it. And the vetiver itself is a little bit more soapy. So I find this scent to be actually a slight bit brighter, fresher, and a little bit more soapy compared to the original Terre d'Hermes, which is that earthy, dirty, woody orange smell that you're used to. And same with the Parfum. I personally think Terre d'Hermes, that DNA, is a great everyday work scent, signature scent, but this might even be even better for that task depending on what you're looking for. I think this one could be a little bit more wearable, a little bit more of a people pleaser. That's one way you could look at it. Now, off the top of my head, I can't remember what sizing they offer. Okay, this is what I believe to be a 100. Yeah, so it's a 100 ml. I don't see why they wouldn't have a 50 or maybe a 75, and they might even have a size up bigger than this. But really, you don't need a ton of this stuff to get you through the day. And so if you got a good deal on a smaller bottle, I would say for a lot of you, that would be more than enough. This next one, we have Le Male Les Parfums. Okay, you could go for the 125, you could go for the giant 200, or you could go for the 75. And another strong performer, which is kind of the theme of this video, and you don't need a lot of it. Now, something like this, and with a few of these others, they're so wearable that maybe you would wear it often. You know, this one more fall and winter leaning, although into early spring as well. If you're wearing it a lot, a bigger bottle would make more sense. But if you're somebody who has a lot to rotate through, and you're only going to be wearing it every so often whenever it crosses your mind, then you can get away with a smaller bottle because it's just going to last you a lifetime. But a lot of you guys are familiar with this scent as well. Real nice iris, vanilla, cardamom, lavender, tonka bean mixture. It's actually just a little bit more mature than the original Le Male. It's nowhere near as sweet and playful as Ultra Male. And obviously this came out before Elixir, right? So, this was doing its thing before that. Elixir has that tobacco kind of honey mixture going on, which is also a little bit more mature. But I find this to be a step in the right direction, coming out of Ultra Male, which didn't really appeal to as many people given the level of sweetness. This one is a little bit more level, and I think it appealed to a lot more people. And so it was a good move on their end. This goes for your typical price that these usually go for. The 125 is somewhere around $100. Off the top of my head, I don't know what the 75s go for. Again, in a lot of these instances, the price difference from, let's say, the 50 to 100 or the 75 to 125 typically isn't huge. And so for a lot of people, it might make sense to just get that bigger bottle. But at the same time, if it's sitting there not being used, that's just money sitting there that you, I guess, could have spent somewhere else or saved. So you just really have to use your best judgment on whether or not you think you're going to use the scent a lot or not. Okay, this next one is pretty challenging and definitely a unique choice, something that just a lot of people do not like at all and couldn't get behind it. But I think it smells super unique. It's not something that I wear often, but I enjoy the idea of it and I like the smell of it on its own. As a cologne, yes, but just smelling it by itself, I especially love, if that makes sense. It's Gucci Guilty Absolute. It's got leather, woody notes, and vetiver. I mean, it is just, wow, strong leather, almost like this rubber smell. I've seen people say that it kind of smells like a tire shop or something. It's one way to kind of look at it, and when you think of it, you can kind of see that, that overwhelming smell of rubber when you walk into a tire shop or something. It just has a very overpowering aura about it. And again, given the nature of this one, a lot of people simply just do not like it. And, it's not a cheap scent, so you spend that much money on something that you're expecting to wear and it doesn't feel all that wearable to you, you're not going to be all that happy about it, I suppose. But for me, while it doesn't get a ton of skin time, it's just the fact that they put this out to me is just, it's kind of crazy. But Gucci has done some crazy things in the past. It's just, I don't know, something truly unique. And people say all the time, designer brands, give us something unique. Well, they did, and look what happened. It kind of flopped. So be careful what you wish for, I guess. And I'm not sure about the availability on this anymore. It might be a little bit more spotty because I know it was being phased out at one point. Whether you can find it or not, a lot of you probably won't be rushing out to buy it anyway. It's maybe one of those discontinued fragrances that a lot of people aren't lusting after, like a light blue Forever or Lanawee Blue Electrique or Gucci Envy or something. A lot of people already probably have this that want it, and if they didn't want it, they don't have it and aren't looking for it. But I wanted to feature it anyway. Kind of going down to the end with Bvlgari Man in Black. This is the Parfum. It took them a while. I mean, it took them a long time. What was the original Man in Black released? What was it? You know, mid 2016, 2015, something like that. Somewhere around in there, give or take a few years, but somewhere in that range. Kind of got popular as a spice bomb style scent, kind of. And then just last year we got Bvlgari Man in Black Parfum finally. And there were some other Bvlgari Mans released in between there, of course, the fresher ones and stuff, but I'm glad that we finally got kind of a revival of this DNA. And it's strong. I mean, it is a great performer. The original, I think it started off strong, but then a lot of people were saying that it just didn't perform as good as it used to over the years, so I don't fully know exactly what went on there. Obviously, reformulation is always kind of in the back of your mind. But this one, it is a strong performer and you don't need a ton of it. We're gonna finish this video with Stronger With You Tobacco by Armani. This stuff is fantastic as well. It's simply just a tobacco take on the Stronger With You DNA, but a really high quality, really nice selection of tobacco here. It's not super designer watered down. It's actually a real nice red pipe tobacco smell here. Like you really pick up on it a lot. Sometimes in true designer brand fashion, they'll put tobacco or, you know, iris or something, leather in the title, or they'll market it, but then you hardly pick up on it. That's not the case here. You really do get it. So if you're somebody who doesn't like tobacco, this one doesn't make sense for you. If you're somebody who is always kind of, you know, not that impressed by Stronger With You and just the originals and stuff, this might be one that you would actually enjoy. It is a bit more unique. And it's a strong scent as well. A little goes a long way. Now, actually, this one might be one that's not even available in a smaller size. I don't know if I've ever seen, I think it's just 100 ml and maybe 100 ml tester, if I'm not mistaken. I think these more exclusive editions are only one size, but kind of proves the point that you don't need a ton of it anyway. Alrighty guys, there you go. Some beast mode fragrances that a small bottle will be plenty with. I will link them all down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.